You are watching WOC Concrete Talks.
Welcome to WOC Concrete Talks with Mr. Shridhar Rao, Vice President Sales at Elematic India, leading technology providers for precast construction. The parent company, Elematic, headquartered in Finland, operates in over 100 countries across 6 continents. Mr. Rao, based in Bangalore, is a mechanical engineer and an MBA with over 29 years' experience in sales. He has professional exposure in India and abroad. Concrete Talks is dedicated to gaining insights and perspective from construction stalwarts and experts. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today at WOC Concrete Talks.
It's my pleasure, Padma ji. Thank you very much for inviting me here.
Thank you, sir. Tell us in brief about Elematic India and how do you see it as being different from other companies in this segment?
Elematic is a Finland-based company and that was established in 1959. Elematic India is a subsidiary here and this was established in 2008. 2007-2008 was our first factory being sold in India in Chennai, and that is still operating today. So if you look at Elematic India, how we have developed here in India to provide services to our valued clients is that we have a complete bouquet of services supporting the technology. Unlike our parent company is more towards technology because they are serving most of the developed markets. Elematic India here is in a nascent market stage where precast has to be developed. So in precast designing is a very important aspect. So we have a structural design firm consisting of 35 members in-house, manned by IITs and various engineers who have got expertise in precast with an average experience of 12 to 15 years of designing precast structures. And they are all there in order to make the customer adopt precast in a most smooth possible way. So we also have a project services in-house, which is also helping customers to set up plants, train their people for production, as well as engage them in terms of how to do the erection of the buildings. So we, straddle the entire strata of complete services from concept design of a precast building to the complete execution of the building. We are not contractors, but we help builders and contractors to do this precast construction possible. That is how we are vastly different from the other players in the market, because most of my competitors are offering only plant and machinery. They do not know much about the buildings, whereas we are able to give you an in-depth knowledge about how a building will shape up and how the building is going to be done, and provide all the required services as far as structural designing, MEP, and architecture services for doing a precast building possible. So that I would say is our strong point in India. And I would also be very happy to share with you that our engineering division, the structural engineering division, is also serving global clients, as India has been designated as the technology center for the entire company. And our engineering services are providing support to all the clients of Elematic all over the world, wherever it is, where the customer wants to understand a little bit more about the building structure. The other part is about our technology. We are providing top of the line technology in India, and Elematic technology is well known. We have a very strong market share in the world for hollow core slab or pre-stress technology, and the same thing continues in India as well. I would say Elematic in India has got about 70 to 75% market share in terms of all the plants set up in India, and the customers have reposed their faith on us based on the kind of services we have provided, whether it is after sale service or whether it is pre-construction services, which I was talking about. The third point which makes us unique is that Elematic has set up a manufacturing plant in Alwar, Rajasthan, and this is manned by Elematic personnel, full-time employees who are experts in manufacturing of these molds, and they have been trained to maintain the quality just like what the parent company does in Finland. And we have been so far been quite successful in satisfying the requirements of our clients here in India. So I think these 3 points summarize how we are unique and providing a good service to the market as Elematic India.
That's great news, sir, that you are the leading providers for projects abroad also. Great.
Thank you.
What is the change that you're looking to bring in the Indian context?
I would say this way that India has been dependent on traditional construction methodologies for a very, very long time. And by far, it was a preferred method of doing buildings just because there was a large availability of labor and skilled manpower available at a very competitive cost for a very long time. And also sustainability and the other requirements for carbon footprints was not much of a concern during the earlier days when the constructions were happening. But today we have a situation in which you have a high volatility in terms of material pricing, whether it is steel or concrete. Second, there is a large shortage, even though we have a huge amount of manpower available in the country, but a very much of a shortage in terms of skilled manpower, even unskilled manpower to do construction projects possible. People don't want to go through that hassle of standing in a construction site in the peak summers and working there, back-breaking work, I would say. So my thought for the Indian context would be that to bring technology in a way that you mechanize construction so that you use strategically the manpower, skilled manpower that you have, so that you can make the buildings on time, much before time, I would say. In comparison to traditional construction, precast is always offering you 50% savings in time. So with that, leverage the kind of resources you have to make the contractors make better buildings, offer high quality buildings at a much faster pace. So this is how I would look this change happening in the Indian context. And mechanization is playing a very big role, whether it is in terms of construction of a refinery or whether it is in terms of construction of a building today. So precast is in the forefront of mechanizing the construction, because in the end, in precast, what we are doing is we are breaking the building into its individual elements, manufacturing that in an offsite factory, bringing them to site and fixing it back together. And that makes the construction much faster because you are breaking the critical part. So I would say we have a lot of benefit that is offered by using precast technology, whether it is for a builder as the end user or for a contractor who is the intermediary who is bringing value to the builder.
Yeah, absolutely, sir. Safety and sustainability. What is the path ahead in your opinion, and what is the path we need to traverse?
We already know the kind of issues with the traditional construction. Safety and sustainability both have been talked about for a very large extent, but it is very difficult in some of the technologies to adopt safety and sustainability. Particularly, let's say our cast in situ technology does not lend itself very well for safety because all the material, all the labor, everything that is happening at the site. So that makes it much more difficult to control because also there is a large amount of labor input required when you do a project. So for this reason alone, safety is a very little bit of a difficult challenge that contractors would face in order to implement in a site. Precast inherently is an off-site construction technology. So which means to say most of your labor is actually working in the factory environment. And when we talk about a manufacturing environment, it is much easier to bring a kind of a discipline and safety standards that can be maintained so that 50% of your work that is happening in the factory is manned by these people, and then rest of the things happens mostly by mechanized and skilled labor at the site by using cranes, and then again it is much easier to adopt safety practices even in the site level. Because you finally don't end up handling any of the raw materials. You're only handling finished elements which have to be fixed together. The kind of joints that you have to do, the kind of construction you have to do at the site level is dropping down for maybe like 1/3 of what you do in a casting situ builder. So that is a very big benefit. Like all the MEP is already embedded in the walls, so you don't have to do much of the site work at the site. It is only about fixing the elements correctly, joining these elements in the right way, waterproofing, and then a treatment of the joints. These are the things which require careful consideration, and then a craneage would do most of your work of handling these elements, etc. So again, planning is a very important role in which precast plays. So now coming to sustainability, sustainability means for me, what sustainability means is that you make sure that you have quality buildings which are durable and also uses less material, because in the end we have to save carbon footprint. If the carbon footprint has to be lesser, then the only way that you can do it in a building is by saving material. So precast technology allows you to reduce the amount of steel and concrete used in a building in comparison to a traditional building. By using the right technology, you can save about 10 to 15% of steel and concrete overall in the entire building. You can also save a lot of plaster, because all these buildings do not need any kind of plastering. So the third is also that you can also make sure that these buildings are going to last for more than 100 years. These are very good quality buildings. And the last one is about wastage. In precast, because everything is under controlled environment, the amount of wastage will be less than like even 1%. Whereas in a traditional construction, that might range anything between 7% to 15%, depending on how skilled your labor are and how long they have been in the construction site doing the same repeatable job. So, I mean, in all these parameters, precast constructions allows you the kind of sustainability that is not available in a traditional construction. And I would say also that precast has qualified itself to be called as a green building.
Yes, the thermal effect of it.
Right. We can
Yeah.
have insulation in the walls so that, it's still not been adopted in India, but I think it should be adopted across India in all the regions where you have the summers ranging between 35 to 45 degrees centigrade. And having an insulation would reduce your long-term electric power bills to a large extent. It has been mandated in Finland as well as in the Middle East countries that insulation in the walls has to be compulsory. It is by law by the government. And that's a good way of these sustainable practices have been taken up there. I hope that same thing happens in India.
Yes. So how do you see the scenario 5 years down the line or 10 years down the line about in terms of adoption of precast and bringing in these savings and us adopting sustainability in a big way? So 5 years down the line, what is the scenario that you see?
I mean, we were 5 years back, we were talking about, adoption going higher in the next 5 years. But I see in the last 3 years itself, there has been a humongous amount of interest in the market. No more people are talking about what is this precast. I mean, this question never occurs. Nowadays, people are directly talking about the cost of the building, about the sustainability practices that we can adopt, what kind of machinery is required, what kind of building designs we can adopt, what kind of facades we can do. So these are all intelligent questions coming from the builders and contractors who have already made their homework, and they are discussing with us how to adopt these things going forward. So I see that as a huge amount of change in comparison to what used to happen earlier days when people were not aware of what is the precast technology going to do for them. So today people are far more intelligent, which means to say they have studied a lot about the various technologies, not only precast, they have made study of the various technologies. And I see precast is becoming more popular because of the various structures already built in precast. Like you would see in Delhi NCR, or it is in Gujarat, or it is in south of India, large number of commercial, industrial, residential, warehouse buildings have already been done. And these serve as a good examples for people who want to adopt precast. So people who are really interested to see what precast can do for us, for them, they can always approach me or our company to showcase them the projects that have already been done, which has been existing today for maybe 10, 15 years, to show that how the quality is performing over a period of time. So that I think is a very good development over a period of time. And in the next 5 years, I think you will see far more activity, and I see some of the companies already adopting them into their portfolio of offerings. At least 15 to 20% of their projects overall would be done in precast. This is what I see.
Great. So what would your advice be to stakeholders in this industry, be it developers, contractors, and industry professionals?
I think my take would be that you should partner with the right people who have the knowledge on board regarding precast technology and precast construction. Elematic in India since last 15 years has got this structural design as a complementary service along with our technology, which is complementing our technology. Like, whoever wants to come to put up precast construction is more interested to talk about buildings in the initial stages rather than talking about machinery, because machinery is only a support system for them as far as the building is concerned. So you need intelligent conversations to happen regarding the building construction. What can be done, how it can be done, what would be the cost, and how is the system going to operate. And that is where Elematic gives a full service in terms of providing the kind of resources who have a good experience to tell them what is to be done and how it is to be done, how and it can be successfully adopted to make use of the resources that is there. This, I think, is one of the very strong points of Elematic, and that is where I look at builders and contractors, that if you are going to adopt precast technology, have a conversation with us. You will be happy that you have met with those people who have already have done that and been there and seen a lot of things that has been done in precast construction. This is one, and second is second advice to contractors and builders would be that if you are looking at any other technology, we find that precast technology can make your buildings much more better in terms of savings in material also. So we have made a comparison between various technologies, and precast technology should be in your radar to see that over a period of time, this is the most sustainable and most flexible technology that can help you make every kind of building possible. So one plant would serve to make your residential, commercial, industrial, warehousing, or even infra projects possible. So this is what I would like to say.
Wonderful. Yeah. So my last question to you is, what is the change you think we need to bring in our academic curriculum to make construction professionals ready for executing precast projects?
I would say that there must be at least a short-term course or a core material in the civil engineering field that should be adopted into every college to tell them that this is where precast technology came from, this is where the future is, and this is what is happening at the moment. And we would be very happy to collaborate with any kind of institution which needs kind of inputs to put in where they want to develop a curriculum, or if it is a short course, we are ready to come and educate people on how things are done in precast, so that their journey can start from there to get the kickstart of the idea thinking about in precast. So we are open for that to collaborate, and I believe that giving this basic idea to the students is very critical, because they are also coming with various ideas in their own mind. Our young people are dynamic in terms of thinking. They already seen how technology is changing the entire world, and then the civil technology which is already there, how it can impact their lives as well as their structures, is a very important thing for them to hold in their mind as they come out of the college and then start executing projects, and then they can be the champions to do these structures in a better way.
Absolutely, sir. That's wonderful. Thank you so much, sir, for your wonderful insights. We look forward to having you in our future programs. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Padma ji. Thank you very much.